respect to open source. Who all utilizes these open source software? The first one is the Wikipedia, then Yahoo, Disney, Reuters. In fact, this Department of Defense, NSA, they are using open source software. And the servers, the one like you access Facebook or some email server, these servers, application servers, are itself based on Linux, which is an open source operating system. And you can see 85 of the top 100 supercomputers are based on Linux. SpaceX even uses these open source softwares. Top 10 companies that are powered by Linux, which I mentioned just now, is an open source operating system. You can see big names are there like Oracle, Novell, Red Hat, Google, IBM, Facebook, Amazon, Dell, Samsung, and Microsoft. Interestingly, Microsoft is the one which makes these proprietary softwares like the Windows and Office, and they are now into open source because Bill Gates charity has given 28 billion to GNU Linux and open source. They have invested in ResearchGate, which is a social network for scientists. Uh, and in fact, they are working on a lot of other softwares which are open source based. So by now we understand what open source is. So two parts in open source softwares. One is open, which means it is open to collaboration between all. And the second part is source, which means that the code that you get is freely available or freely shared. There are some more things that have been mentioned here, like HP has over 100 open source projects, over 2,000 open source printer drivers, over 200 open source tools, utilities, libraries, and packages. As an example, you get a new printer and you have an operating system of, let's say, a variant of Linux. You can check the code and you can actually alter the code so that it fits or suits your operating system. And estimates even suggest that a mind-blowing 96% of web servers are running on some type of Linux operating system. Within India, we see there has been, some work on open source softwares like BOSS, which is Bharat Operating System Solution, which takes one of the versions of Linux, GNU Linux distribution, and then it has actually worked on the languages of that operating system. The CDAC has developed it, and they have given a lot of other languages within it, mainly for non-English literate users within the country. And there are some of the examples which have been mentioned there: Assami, Punjabi, Sanskrit, Tamil, Telugu, and so on. LIC has gone into open source by having 18,000 desktops on free softwares. Kerala has saved around 50 crores by placing free and open source softwares on 50,000 desktops across 2,800 schools. In fact, if you remember, during the COVID, there was Arogya Setu, the app that was compulsory, installed on most of the mobile phones. That itself was an open source technology. Google is taking in turns for open source, so that because Google has few major projects in open source like Android and Chromium. So the operating systems that we use on our mobile phones, the Android operating phone, is an open source operating system. The Chrome browser that we use is a part of a project which is the Chromium project, and it is itself an open source project. In fact, Google has done a lot of work with respect to data during the COVID-19 pandemic. Google trains people, interns in open source technologies. So that was the first part, to understand what basically is open source technology. The next thing that we have is the open source operating system, that is the Linux. An operating system basically is a software which is utilized to run a computer. Like when you start your PC, you see Windows logo generally that we see is an operating system that runs your PC. Likewise, there is a free and equivalent operating system which actually runs your computer. And what is the benefit of having this operating system, especially for researchers, for those maybe who have used Ubuntu, Edubuntu, Kubuntu, Kali Linux, and so on? You can actually get the code of this operating system, right? Have your own stacks built over it, have your protocols worked on it, and then recompile it and see how the things work. Very beneficial for researchers who are working on such kind of things. Now, previously, in order to use an operating system such as this one, the one which has been mentioned here, Linux, there were three ways to use this operating system. One was you get a PC and install Linux on it. The second one was have a dual boot system. And what was the dual boot system? Dual boot was system was that you actually you actually partition your hard disk in such a way that some part would have Windows in it and some part would have Linux or BSD or Unix or some other open source software within it. Then when you boot your PC, at the beginning it would give you options. Like first options is you go for, let's say, you go for Windows, and the second option is you go for Linux. So you could boot into either one of the softwares, one of the operating systems at one time. However, this has been actually changed now. The third thing then came that you have, let's say, Microsoft as operating system, and on that you would install some kind of virtualization softwares like VMware, Sandbox, many other softwares that actually helped you in making this virtualization thing. So you have Windows at the base, and over Windows you actually had some other operating system installed on it. But recent development has been there in which you do not need to have a separate machine for Linux. You do not need to have a double boot system. You do not even need to have some kind of software installed on your PC so that you could try Linux. This is known as Windows Subsystem for Linux, or WSL, and the current version is WSL2. And what does this WSL2 do? It actually helps you install any, there are many variants actually within it, variants on your Microsoft operating system. It's like, you have an application like Office running. Likewise, you have Linux running on your Microsoft. So this saves a lot of hassle and makes usage of Linux very simple. Now, if you are a developer and you have made a program in, let's say, Microsoft Windows, and now you want to see how this program works in Linux, you can do it. Or as simple as that, if you are a researcher and you have a simulation software which basically works on Linux, you have a system which is Windows based system, you use WSL. WSL is pretty simple to use. You can just go to command prompt, right, and just type WSL there, right? It shows you what are the other options that you have. Use WSL / install, and then mention what distribution you want to install, and you can install that. Here I can just show you here. Here, this is the command. You need to open your command prompt as an administrator. So just close it. Just type CMD. Command prompt comes, right click, run as administrator. It would ask you the permission, and then you open this. And once you're there, you can see here wsl.exe -- install. Then obviously it will ask you what kind of version you want to install. There are different versions which are available here. You can see here, this is the screenshot from Microsoft Store, which is mentioning the WSL, that is run Linux on Windows. What all other operating systems are available here: Ubuntu, OpenSUSE, SUSE Linux, Debian, Kali Linux, and so on. I have taken recently the list of the operating systems that were available. It's a couple of months old, in which there was Ubuntu, SUSE, OpenSUSE, Kali, Debian, Fedora, Penguin, and so on, Alpine, that were available. These are the operating system which you can actually download and install. So this is how you then go to Microsoft Store, get this. All right, it gets installed here. Once it's installed, you can see here the screenshot. Like one of the Office programs here, you have Ubuntu installed here. Click on this Ubuntu, you would see the terminal of Ubuntu would be present there. So you can then, go into this, prompt, install all the softwares, updates, whatever it's required. It would give you a complete, actually the one which is installed is actually basic operating system. Then you can wget or install things through this terminal within it, and you will get the complete features that you want within this part. So this is, once you have this open source, in fact, operating system, you can have open source tools installed on that system, or there are many other tools like the ones which I'm going to show you, which would help you analyze, collaborate, and share using open source tool. The first one is LibreOffice. So this LibreOffice is a very good tool, in fact, in case you want to utilize features of Word, of Microsoft Office, like Impress and so on. Now the list that is given here is given here. The first one is LibreOffice Writer. Or first, let me just show you where to get this LibreOffice from. So I'll just Google LibreOffice, and the first one that you would get is libreoffice.org. For those who have used it maybe previously, they might have downloaded OpenOffice. It used to be known as OpenOffice. It's a successor of OpenOffice, which used to download from OpenOffice. So you can go here and you can simply download now, and you can download this. So what all do you get within this LibreOffice? These are actually the features which have been given here. And if even if you want to see, there is one of the comparisons which have been given between the two, how this is being developed. Let me just go through these a few things that have been listed here. The first one is the LibreOffice Writer. Like Microsoft Word, you will find this software completely similar to that. You can do most of your word processing within this writer. The second one is Calc. It's the LibreOffice Calc, which is spreadsheets. This is similar to what you use in Microsoft Office as Microsoft Excel. Most of the functions, most of the formulas are available there. The only difference that visually you might realize is a bit different is maybe icons are different because of copyright issues and so on. In fact, if you have a Word document, you can open that Word document inside this LibreOffice Writer. Maybe a little bit difference in formatting may happen, or you can actually use LibreOffice to save files as LibreOffice files, or if you want to save them as Office files, you can save them as Office files as well. Means dot doc, dot x, and so on. And the third one is Impress. It is the open source equivalent of Microsoft's PowerPoint. It's known as LibreOffice PowerPoint. So once you download and install it, you will see it very similar to what we've been using. The next one is Draw. It's for vector graphics and flowchart. This is similar to Microsoft that provides Paint, similar to the Paint application. Then Base database application is similar to Access. And the Math is for formula editing. In fact, this software, which is Math, is very good in the sense that for those who write formulas within it, I'll show you if there's some examples given here. You can actually draw neat diagrams using this. You can copy paste within your documents very easily. And then once you have imported this formula from an equation editor or a formula, you can even edit it, or you can save it and later on edit it. And this formulas can be imported easily into any other applications of LibreOffice, the one like which have been previously mentioned, like Calc, Impress, or Writer. This is one of the advantages that you would see within this. That is the math editing. And the next one that we have is VLC. VLC player is, let me just see whether we can access. It's accessible here. So VLC is one of the most commonly seen softwares which people use. You might have heard VLC while running an application, or while running some file like music file, or opening a video file. Most commonly, you will see that if there is such kind of file which has a codec which is not easily playable by other uh, players, VLC generally would be able to play that. Other features that VLC has have been listed here. It works across various platforms, no spyware ads or user tracking. It's a big, non-profit project under Videolan. It does software encoding as well as hardware encoding. So overall, it's a very good software, and we'll try to see what all other features are available there. Most importantly, one thing that you have to understand with VLC is that it has most of the libraries that you are going to use for playing of video, like the one which have been listed here, or it has the codecs which most of you might require for playing videos and audios. Now, in addition to this, what all can this VLC actually do? VLC can help you in streaming. If you want to make your own podcast, a channel over the internet, a video channel over the internet, this VLC can help you in doing that. You can see here how many downloads have been, and it's still counting. 34 lakh downloads have been done for this specific. And now, if you want, for example, why I'm stressing on this as an open source software. Now, if you have your own protocol and you want to ensure that this protocol or a codec works, you can use this VLC software, download its source code, which is mentioned here. You can check here source code, VLC media source code. VLC is free and open source cross-platform multimedia player and works for this. And you can download this star.gz.or.xz, edit it, all right, and recompile it. Or you can go to Git also. This Videolan has its own Git. You can check the developer's website here. A lot of work has been doing or has been going on with respect to this one. All right. The next software that I'm going to touch is GIMP, GIMP. That is GNU Image Manipulation Program. When we talk about an image editor, the first thing that comes to our mind is Photoshop. A basic one is their Paint, but it's not typically the one which we use for good image editing software. The open source equivalent of Photoshop is known as GIMP, which I'll just show you how to download. Just go to website and download GIMP. The first one that you would see is www.gimp.org. Click on that. You can download the latest version here, 2.10.32. And like I said, you can find this across multiple platforms. You can find for Linux, Mac OS, Microsoft. Here is the list of operating systems where you can install this. So coming to the features of this specific software, it is very good for graphic designers, photographers, illustrators, and so on. For those who are looking for an open source equivalent of a graphic or image editor, this is a very good solution for that. It works on high quality photographs. You can create original artwork. You can, in fact, go for programming algorithms within it. So this is something which most of you should try if you're looking for an image editing software. You know, if you have used Photoshop, in which you change the backgrounds, edit the backgrounds, the lightings, and so on, these all the features are available within this image manipulation program. After this, the next one, after image manipulation, we have a software basically which can do video manipulation. This has been actually been a problem for most of us. In fact, myself, when I had to edit an image, edit an audio, I could easily do that. But editing a video, I used to look for free or trial based programs. So I searched for an equal and open source equivalent of something like Adobe Premiere Pro. They are very high class premium video editors. So I got this shortcut, SHOTCUT, which is a free open source cross platform editor. You just have to go to Google, download shortcut. It's not short, it's short, SHOTCUT. And you can see here, this is the installers here from where you can, or you can just directly go into Microsoft Store where you'll get automatic updates and so on. Anyhow, so this is the software which basically you can see here provides you support for audio as well as video. A lot of formats are given here which are supported. And if you want to work on high resolution videos, you can do that. You want to edit, cut a video, you want to merge videos, you want to take parts in a video, or if you want to work on, let's say, graphics of the video like noise, coloring, textures, things can be done there. If you have, let's say I have a webcam here, I'm capturing this through webcam. By this shortcut, I can actually record this my lecture and then edit this lecture which I have recorded through the webcam, which we know has one of the features given here as webcam capture, or there is audio capture. And you mix the videos, matching the resolution, working on frame rates, this all is done there. Then if you're looking for saving with respect to specific codecs and so on, that can also be done. Or as simple as that, you have used a very high-end camera, DSLR camera for video storage, and then you want to convert it into YouTube kind of video, or you want to decrease the resolution so that you can easily send it through WhatsApp or some other features. So what you can do is this software can help you in conversion of video inputs from one input to another output. You can export it into different codecs. The next one that we come across is Brave. Well, this is what we see here in Brave. This is a browser, like for example, in this sense, I am using Chrome. If you use Brave, it would give you, I mean, in fact, Chrome is also, open source, but here Brave has certain things which others do not have. That is one of important one, that is the privacy. Brave has advanced privacy controls like You can, stop tracking, others can stop tracking you. I have mentioned some of the features here. Others, you can actually hide yourself, and so on. Here is a comparison of this Brave, web browser with other commonly used browsers like Firefox, Safari, and Chrome, which you can download freely. Now you can see the green ticks around Brave, which shows for ads blocked, cross-site trackers blocked, cookies blocked, fingerprinting blocked, malware and phishing protection, protection against bounce tracking, anonymized networking routing, which basically it has a Tor function within it. So it's a Tor-based browser which helps you anonymize your internet access. So this is for somebody who really wants to have a secure browser so that you're not, you know, pestered by ads and, or malware and phishing and so on. The next one is the Mozilla's Firefox. In fact, this is one of 3.8% of worldwide browser market share is with this Firefox. It's having thousands of plugins. It's a free and open source browser. The next is Audacity. We talked about video editing through Shortcut. We talked about picture editing through GIMP, GIMP. Now, there is a software which is known as Audacity, which has been specifically kept there and has been there for decades. I have myself used it for a long time, which is a very powerful audio editor. You have, let's say, downloaded a music file. Now you want to make a ringtone out of it. This is a very good software wherein it can take a lot of different extensions like .mp3, mp4, and so on, mov, and then let you edit it, cut, crop, copy, and so on these audio files. And then if you have, let's say, a file which is not clear, you can remove noise out of it. Or if you have an audio file in which you want to add, there is a background, let's say music going on, and you want your voice to have layer over it, you can do that using this Audacity. So you can have two files combined, or audio files combined, or it's basically an audio editor which has most of the things which you would use in case you are working on audio files. So this would be editing of audio also. So we have by now three editors that we have used. The next one is KeePass. Now, most of us nowadays on internet have to remember tens and tens of username and password. A username and password for Facebook, username password for email, username of password for company sites, username for everything that you have to go on a net, you need to remember it. Now what we do is we do autofill, we let our browser remember it, and so on. Now, maybe because of some security features, we do not let our system actually memorize it. So what this open source tool does, it's a storage tool which keeps track of your passwords. Something, this is a screenshot, all right, of that software, which keeps the site, the username and password, the URL, and if you have used some other extra things associated with it. So what happens here, and you can see here there are on the left hand side of the software that it has specific for internet, for network, for Windows, for email. You can have specifically kept separate one. Now what does this basically actually have? This software has a very good encryption, that is AES encryption, two-factor authentication, by which once you have to use it, you have to first log in into this software. Then once you have logged in, it can automatically be used with your browser, with other applications. Whether you're using Windows, Mac, Linux, whether you're using mobile device, it can store in its database all these usernames and password. It in fact has uh, cloud based storage as well. So once you have saved it over the cloud, you can use it wherever you want. And the best part of it is that this software firstly runs across multiple platforms, and number two, it is very much portable. You can keep this software within a pen drive, so it would be like a tool with you wherever you go. Whichever PC you use, you plug it into that tool, log it into that software, and then whatever you use, wherever you want to use these passwords, this password manager would actually use it. Take log out, take out the pen drive, and this password generator goes with you. These are some of the features that I have listed with respect to its portability, export, import, database transfer, how much it supports, what type of support, security, and so on. Then an equivalent of Microsoft Outlook is Thunderbird. If you're looking for an email client, well, many of you might have downloaded this. A famous Firefox product, in addition to Mozilla, is Thunderbird. This is a screenshot of how it looks like. This is an email client. FileZilla used for FTP. Next one is Dia. Now, before I go into Dia, there is an advanced version. Well, Dia needs installation. I'll just go to, let me just go to this one. I'll come back here. Draw.io. Now, what is this draw.io? I believe most of us have an issue when we have to draw a figure, whether it's for a class or whether it's for a research paper, or whether you have to submit your report which has an image. Making a diagram is always an issue. Now, how do we draw a diagram? You look for something like paint and then try to draw. Then within the pane, now I have to have an image, let's say an image of a computer here. I have to Google the image, put that image within the paint, and then draw it. Then I'm not sure about that image. I should have the permission to use that image. It should not be copyrighted and so on. So in order to solve this problem, what softwares we have here which can help is draw.io. Just write draw.io, you will see this first thing that would come here would be, where do you want to save this? So you can just save it directly onto your device, or you can use some other like GitHub or Dropbox or some other cloud-based, storage. So I'll just click decide later. Now, as an example, all right, I want to draw an image of a computer network. Within that computer network, I need to have a PC, I need to have a router, I need to have a database and servers, a cloud in between. If normally I have to draw it, I know that it would take a long time for me. So what does this draw.io actually help me in? Let's say, first thing, flowchart, drag and drop, drag and drop, drag and drop. And then I have connectors through which I can just simply connect these together. Now, so going back, this, you can say flowchart is available at other softwares as well. Yes, probably flowchart is easier to make. But if I am looking for an advanced image for my project, for my report, for my paper, or for my presentation, I would use this software because it gives me the choice of looking for specific images which are free to use, specific templates which are free to use. For example, on my left hand side, you can see flowchart, entity relationship. This is already available there, like these ones. Now, while talking about the uh, figure or the picture that I was looking for, I need a computer, right, to make it. So I, on the left hand side, press computer, I would get different computers here. Click more result. So it searches within this system, within the internet. You would get the templates of computers that you might require. So I just simply drag and drop it. So I got this computer here. Now, I might not like the color of it. I might not like the style of it. I might need to make changes here. I double click. On the right hand side, you can see several other features which can help in editing it, like fill what you want to fill here, or let's say I want to have a different solid background of black. I'll get that. How you want this opacity be? I want to have a border which is a bit thicker or dotted and things like that. So this all can be done. You can actually edit this style, edit the color, edit the sketch, change its opacity as well. This can be done. Now I need a router to connect to this system. So I search for routers. I get a router here. Normally, it would have taken me a lot of time to search for an image, or if I have to myself make this image of a router, it would take a lot of time. And there are a variety of different types of routers that I could simply use, like for example, ATM routers and so on that are given here. Now, I need a server here to which I am connecting. So you can see here a lot of servers are given here. So I put a database server here. I need an application server here. A generic server which has been given here. I connect them through a switch. Okay, give me a switch here. I get a switch here. Now, my system is connected through a router over internet. So I might need an internet cloud or IP cloud. So I search IP cloud. So I get the examples that are given here, and you can see how beautifully these have been made. And then I just need to connect it, and my diagram is ready, which I have here as connectors. Simple to use. I can simply connect these together. So if I have a very good grid behind by which I can simply check how I have kept them ordered. So this is it. This is how in a jiffy I have made the image or a picture for my, then I have connectivity between this and this, and a connectivity between this and this. Now, if I want to change the colors of these connectors, if I want to make it thick, thin, sharpen, so on, that all can be done. I'll simply go to File, Save As on my device, let's say on the desktop. Let's say it's a test file. I want to have it as any type of image. I can save it so that I can open this later. Or I want to export it all together as a PNG. So I would have exported on a device. Let's see how it looks like. So this is the picture that I have drawn. This is the image. I can just simply copy paste it in any. So one of the free softwares which are readily available and can be used extensively is draw.io. Now, related to this, we have here Dia. If you want to download this software, dia can be downloaded, and similar type of diagrams can be used. And dia has dia shapes. You can download symbols based on it. So if you're working on, let's say, electrical, you would have electrical and electronics uh, uh, symbols which are available there, like MOSFET, BJT, and so on. You can search it and you can get this. The next one is CryptPad. Let me go to CryptPad. Now, what is basically this CryptPad? CryptPad is an online collaborative tool. If you've used Etherpad, it's advanced than Etherpad. If you used Google Docs, all right, it has many other features similar to that. These are the things that have been given here. We'll take some examples here. On my right hand side, there is sheet, which is like Excel. There is rich text like Word, Kanban, code, form, whiteboard, and so on. Now, what we can do is simply is that if I click on a rich pad, you will get an interface which is for word processing. It's cloud-based sharing, cloud-based online real-time sharing. Now, let's say I write a statement. Hello, how are you? You can see it's simply like a text editor and so on. I can increase, decrease the font and so on. Now, I can actually share this document with you online, and I can track who is doing what and what changes are to be done. Let's say we have to make a report, right? So, in order to make that report, I'm typing something. We are at very far off places. So, we have to collaboratively develop this report. Simply click on share. I copy this link that is given here. I'll just, let's say, paste it within the chat here. So if others would click on it, just anybody just click on it. Okay, any one of you can just click on the link that is given in the chat. So what would happen if you join this here is that you would get a chance to actually change whatever I have written here, add to it, and so on. So this is one example in which we have what you call as rich text. And likewise, CryptPad has many other features. Like, right, we have a guest here who has joined. Maybe the guest here would edit something or write something in addition to what I have written. Okay. So this is how we can actually use shared version of rich text here. What are the other things that we have here? I'll go back to CryptPad. You can have shared code, shared slides, or even a whiteboard. Let's say we are discussing something in a meeting. Now I'm, showing something here. Let's say this is a picture here. I can simply click on share here, copy this link, put this, I'll just put this link here. You can go to this link, click on this link, and you can enter here as a guest, or I can have access in which I can specifically give who can work on it, who can on it, and you can make accordingly changes to this, and we can collaboratively work on this board. Few more things that we see within the crypt pad is, in addition to sheets, text, we can have poll, we can have slides, we can have, in fact, whiteboard also, we can have form also, which can actually work on this. Now, the next thing that we have here after crypt pad is Zotero. Well, it's basically a citation manager. Just a minute. Yeah, it's a citation manager. I hope you can see this. So, what this citation manager basically does is that normally when we write a paper, we have to have citations within the paper. If we, let's say, a good IEEE kind of survey paper, it might have 300, 400 uh, citations, references attached to it. Now, if we have to keep track of all these, it makes us very difficult to have a separate file in which we can have the references. And if we make one change in the reference number, let's say 1 to 2, we would have to ensure that all these changes are reflected or among the other one, change the numbers of others. So, what this Zotero actually helps you in, you download this open source software, and it has plugins which can be used with latex, word, and so on. And while you are writing your paper, you can simply click on this citation manager and you can drag the citations within your paper. This is one good advantage that we have within this, right? And other than this, if you have already read a paper. Now, while reading this paper, let me just go to sciencemag.org. Just a minute. Let me just open this site. Just open it up. And when we see this, let's say, I'll just download one of the papers here. Okay. Now I want to cite this. So if I go here and click on cite, you can see here from the list, how do I want to download this citation. Now, in this case, if I go for this ProCite Reference Manager export citation, okay, it gives me this citation.ris. So you can see this is how it comes. Now, I can actually use this citation, import this citation into the citation manager. And with this, what I can have is basically the details about this citation of authors, of journal number, the DOI, page number, version, year. In fact, I can add notes to it, and not only that, I mean, I can have abstract and so on in it. So tomorrow, whenever I have to cite it, I can simply take this citation from this Zotero, embed this citation directly within the Word document or latex document that I'm using it. So for researchers, for budding researchers, somebody who's writing a report, a thesis, or somebody who's writing uh, maybe just a research paper, this is something which can be of a very high value, which is Zotero. This is an example you can see here. These are the papers that have been downloaded within the Zotero. You click on one of the papers on the right hand side, you can see what are the details about that specific article, the journal type, the title, the authors, abstract, and so on. And if you can just see, I can just simply export whole of the citation and use this whole within the one that I'm writing. Now I can develop this Zotero's library automatically by saving directly from Google Scholar, from other websites, or I can create my own one by one and so on. The second one is Zenodo. I just go to this site because I have lesser time available. I just show you what basically it is. So this is what Zenodo is. You create your account, you log in. Once you have logged in, you can actually put up your research papers, articles, book articles, news, and so on online. As an example, you have worked on, let's say, COVID-19 pandemic diseases. You have used machine learning, you have created a data set. Now, in order to share this data set, you want others to use your data set. But data set is something which is with you. How would others cite your data set? Typically, in order to cite your paper or work, you use uh, reference of where you have published it. But this is something like a data set which you haven't published. You want to publish it and you want to ensure that if others use your data set, they cite your work. This is where you can upload your article, your news, simple write up, data set, and so on. And you would get a free DOI for this record. Here you can see the recent ones that have been uploaded here. A large scale COVID 19 Twitter chatter data set for open scientific research and international collaboration. And you can see how many of them are there. 1 GB used data set is there. It is uploaded on January 8, 23. It's a data set. It is open access. I'll click view and I can actually get this data set which is mentioned here. And you can see the list given here. And this is the DOI in case I want to refer to this in my paper. I can refer, this is from where I have got the data set. Not only this, you can find a lot of different things. It's safe, stored safely for future in CERN's data center. It's trusted, it's citable. Every upload of yours would get a digital object identifier or DOI. There is no waiting time. You just upload it and you get a DIA within seconds. You can choose it whether you have to keep it as closed or open. For example, clinical trials with records and so on, you can keep records and there is a versioning. GitHub is there and you can get the statistics of this as well. So this is what we have as Zenodo. Now moving on to the next one, Orchid, you people might know, draw.io, GitLab and Git pages. Computer science, IT people, they are quite aware of Git, what Git is. You know, as a project developer, now you want to plan a project, you want to create the project, verify the project, execute the project, and so on. This generally you might use some softwares which are on your PC or on paper and so on. What Git basically does this, it gives you a complete development platform over the internet. They call it as online time machine. Why? Because from start of it, managing, planning, creating, packaging, coding, then releasing, this all can be done through GitHub. Then after this, you have several releases. You can have different releases. You can configure it. You can check it. You can monitor it. This all can be done with the help of GitHub. Then the next is Unpaywall. This is a free plugin which can help you to actually search for uh, open access or free papers across 50,000 publishers. And when I have taken this screenshot, there were 26 million free scholarly articles available within their database. In fact, this can be used as a browser plugin. So whenever you search something, it would help you actually to get that specific article. Obviously, taking care of all the legal issues within it, copyright and all things, it would let you search free scholarly articles, all right, using this unpaywall. The next software that I have kept here is Scilab for electronics, electrical, mechanical, in fact, computer IT, mathematics itself. For those who have used MATLAB, this is one of, you know, a very good, a very well developed package for numerical computational analysis. It works on most of the things like abstract to primitive data types, matrices, and so on. This is how it looks like. You can do a lot of things. There are a lot of packages added to it. Since it's an open source software, if somebody has actually worked on this package, they have developed a code for it. This package, let's say somebody worked on wavelets, you can actually embed that package within this software and work on that. Again, the programming similar to if you have used MATLAB, it would be very much similar to that. The next one is GNU plot. For researchers, many of the researchers might have found difficulty while you know, plotting the graphics. Now I have generated a lot of data, whether it's an Excel data or whether it's of different formats. Uh, let's say I have in latex and so on, PostScript, PDF and so on. I want to see how this data would actually look like, you know, 3D and 2D images of it. So displaying of this data that you have collected both in 2D as well as 3D forms, 3D plots can be done by this GNU plot. And this is a open source command driven interactive functioning plot program. You can take the data from one of the programs like I mentioned PNG, PostScript, or you can even export the same thing. Now, what do you get out of this? This is, for example, a figure or an image which has been plotted by using PM 3D surfaces. This is the output of that data that you get here. Or these are some of the figures that have been given here. One of them is Gaussian distribution. Another is the 3D box. Third one for civil, that is the building code height limits, and the fourth one again is a good distribution. These all have been plotted using the GNU plot. GNU plot can be attached to softwares in which you can, using this open source tools, you can output your data from your simulator directly into GNU plot. GNU imports that data when it's called as a function, opens up and plots that, gives you beautiful and wonderful plots of the data that you have given. Like I mentioned, in both 2D as well as 3D form. When we come for data analysis, a lot of programs are there in open source which can be used for data analytics. I have listed here R itself is a statistical programming language which is open source. Python, which is fully fledged programming language for data analysis and types. For data mining, there is a list of tools which I mentioned here, starting from Orange, Rapid Miners, Cryptella, Vika, and so on. Now, coming to text, an awesome software that is being used for preparing text is LaTeX. It has almost 5,000 add-on packages which are used for publishing requirements, APA, styles, format, and so on. The difference between a normal word processing software and LaTeX is that when you use LaTeX, actually, the LaTeX gives meaning to your text. So it's not just a word processor. It would help the author not worry about the meaning here. This is an example here. Document class, article, says this document is an article. Title, so Cartesian closed categories and price of X. Author, Jane Doe. Written in September 1994. This is the header, and then this is the text. So it's not just a text that you have kept here. Each line here has been given a meaning, and LaTeX understands that this is the title of it. So tomorrow, if you have to import a title in a different format, it can actually do that. So this is something which is very beautiful. This is something in which you can tell the latex that I have a title which should be in 12 Roman across all of the 1,000, let's say, pages. This is the author. Keep this in this specific format. This is the date. If there is a date there, put it as bold, italics, and so on. Now, gaming. There are open source gaming also, which we have mentioned here. Use Scratch, like you can easily teach your kids Scratch programming. There is Scratch as well as Junior Scratch, which is block-based programming, which are for young learners, right? Open Sesame is there as well, which is used to create experiments in psychology, neuroscience, and experimental economics. You can see. Now, I have a long list of softwares for each of engineering field, whether you are in electronics, you are in maybe mechanical, structural engineering, you have free CAD and so on. I do not have that much of time now left, but there are actually free and open source softwares for most of the uh, branches that we come across, whether it's for signal processing, whether it's for plotting and so on. You can get a number of such devices. So I believe I just have few minutes left. In case of any question, please go ahead and ask your question.